you ready?
Love it.
What's going on, everyone? It's August 30th. It's almost football time. Had to bring on one of my dear friends. Actually, one of my first shows ever. When I first started out, you came on and joined me for it. But this is Corey Parson. You guys know him as the fantasy exec. You're with the Better Sports Network. What's popping?
What's the deal, Stephie Smalls? Stephie. Can't you see? Hey, I love the open. I love the intro. I love the little Stephie Smalls in action. You know what I'm saying? At the window, at Circus Swim. You know what I mean? So I'm feeling the whole thing. But yeah, you catch me. I do that morning show at Better Sports Network. But really what you got to do is you got to follow me on YouTube. That's where I can really do my thing. You got to subscribe to the Fantasy Executive newsletter over there on Substack. The corporate media thing, Steph, my God, I can't do it no more. So I need to stretch out, be able to do my own thing. You know what I'm saying? So come catch me over on those YouTube digital streets. And that's how you get to interact with the Fantasy Executive without all the foolishness.
Yeah, we're done with the corporate media stuff. Over it. I'm doing my own thing now too, rocking and rolling. I can thank producer Ryan for helping me out with the stuff that I can't do on my own. It's funny.
I need to get Ryan to make me a video going to the window and doing all of that cool stuff, but I got to go to those cool places first.
Yeah, you have to join me. You have to come to Vegas with me one time, and we'll get producer Ryan to hook you up. Get you right.
No doubt,
yeah.
Lit. I love
so you're the second Cowboys fan that I've had on now this week, which is funny. It's becoming a trend. So I don't want to spend too much time on it because I bet everyone's we've exhausted it at this point. But what's up with this Trey Lance trade? Dak wasn't very happy.
Dak's never happy, and that seems to be the problem. This is the most coddled guy by the media that I've ever seen. This is a man that has thrown 25 interceptions in his last 28 games, but yet he wants to know why they're bringing in somebody to have him looking over his back. You've got to play better. I'm tired of Dak Prescott throw 3 interceptions, lose the game, come to the podium and say, I got to do better. Well, we know you got to do better, son, but it's time you start doing better. Listen, I heard this recently, the Greg Cosell, NFL Films guy, and he said that Dak Prescott pre-injury was a playmaker. Dak Prescott post-injury is a ball distributor. And sometimes, a lot of times, he distributes the ball to the wrong team. So me, like Jerry Jones, to me, I'm like, I'm not going to be ready to give this guy another $40 million a year. He's going to want more next time for a dude to turn the ball over like this. Now, I think Trey Lance is trash, but I do like to see Dak a little bit hot underneath his collar because he doesn't deserve to sit in there and kick his feet up and count $40 million when you're the reason why the team loses.
Yeah, he got a little comfy there. You got to make him sweat a little bit, whether that's Trey Lance or the idea of just someone coming in. But when you continue to come up short, it's getting, you're right in that. Like, it's a very cushy, the media kind of protects him a little bit, whether not all Cowboys fans would agree with that. But it's funny because with Dak, his ADP is still going at QB 10. Around there, I don't know. You can also wait a little bit. What about these guys around him? Like, is there someone like a Tua, an Aaron Rodgers, a Kirk Cousins, a Geno, maybe Goff?
I pull Geno up every time. Let me tell you right on Dak right quick. When people talk about Dak, let me tell you, I've heard every excuse. I went back and I counted the interceptions, and a lot of those were tip passes. Yeah. My God, please stop with that foolishness. Interception goes to the quarterback. And then it was, he didn't have any weapons. Well, we take CeeDee Lamb in the first round of every gosh darn draft. What do you mean he don't have no weapons? It's not like he got Sky Moore and Rashee Rice. You don't see him complaining. Anyway, with that being said, I pulled Geno Smith up the board. That's it. I rock with Geno Smith. When I get to that level, I don't this draft season, I'm known for playing quarterback chicken, and sometimes I wait too long. This draft season, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, the top guys on the board. So if I get down into that range to where I miss those guys, I'm going to wait on Geno. If I get too far out of whack, then it's Jordan Love.
Yeah, and I play the quarterback chicken game sometimes too much. But this year I find myself just wanting to take one of those top guys and not even give myself the headache. But there are guys like Richardson who are going ahead of Geno. Actually, Richardson and Young, Stroud, like these rookie guys this year. what type of success do you think they're set up for from a fantasy perspective?
Listen, I think Bryce Young is a fantastic young quarterback. And I think they got some good pieces in Carolina as well. Now, I start to worry after this 0-3 preseason and me seeing the kid on his back. I'm starting to worry that Frank Reich don't know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's problematic. CJ Stroud's going to be a work in progress. Anthony Richardson, because the scheme fits him, he's going to be able to come out. The scheme fits him. He's super athletic. He can run the football as well. Pretty good. He'll do well. It's going to be interesting to see if they give Clayton Tune a shot out there in Arizona. At least you know he'll have volume because they're going to be behind every game. But he probably won't do nothing but throw a lot of interceptions like Dak Prescott anyway. So the young quarterbacks, Richardson with the rushing upside is intriguing to me. But everybody else, I'm like, it's a wait and see approach. Like I said, I like Young a lot, but I worry that Frank Reich going to try to get Young killed before his career gets started good.
Yeah, I thought I was high on that team. The closer we get to the season, the further I am away from feeling as high on them as I once was. Sam Howell is interesting to me because I think that he's one of those guys kind of at more as a dart throw a little bit towards the end. He's having himself a nice preseason. You see him kind of favoring Dotson. I find myself drafting him a lot. I'm still taking Terry McLaurin. But if Sam Howell can maybe find success, we might find that he ends up being a pretty good fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, I think not only do I think he can have some fantasy success, I think Sam Howell has a good shot. You're not going to like to hear this. I think he's going to take that Commander team to the playoff. As a matter of fact, if Kayvon Thibodeau didn't wreck their game plan last year, they could have been in the playoffs this past season. I think Howell, you saw it like the Cowboy game, basically was an exhibition. Don't want to count that, even though Commander fans hate to see that. But when you go 3-0 in the preseason under a new offensive coordinator, and all the talk out of Washington is optimistic and positive. Listen, a couple of years ago, Sam Howell had like the second shortest odds to win the Heisman Trophy.
That's right.
He was the guy that was going to be a first-round draft pick in the NFL draft. He had like 2 bad games that season, and everybody forgot about him. You know how college football can be unforgiving like that. So now, though, he gets an easy landing last year, and I think he got a soft landing coming into this year. I don't think that Sam Howell is going to emerge and become Washington's franchise quarterback they've been looking for the last 40 years, but he can be just as good as Kirk Cousins was. So I think I'm in on Sam Howell.
You are, yeah. What about that win total for the Commanders, 6.5? I've stayed away from it, but are you hitting the over on that one?
Over. I think they smashed that. As a matter of fact, that Bet MGM, if you in the media, that Bet MGM email that comes out and lets you know what their numbers look like. That is the most bet over on the board this year is the Washington Commanders. Yeah, because that 6.5 is a little bit too low. I think they're at least an 8-win team, maybe a 9-10 win team. They're good in the trenches. If you watch NFL Top 100, there was Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, and Jonathan Allen, 3 players on that D-line made the Top 100. And if Chase Young can ever get his act together, then that defensive line would be outrageous. So I think they can play. Now, they should have went and got Dalvin Cook. I think he would have been a guy that would have been very good in that offense that Bijan wants to run. But I like Antonio Gibson more than I like Brian Robinson.
I do too. And why do you think, why are people leaning Robinson over Gibson? Like, is that just because of like the nonsense that like Ron Rivera was rolling with last year? Is that what it's coming from?
It's Ron Rivera and the fact that Ron Rivera really likes this guy. But when I look at the game, my eyes be like, hey, Gibson is better. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then us as fantasy people, Gibson is going to be the better pass catcher as well. Listen, Robinson, a great story. You know what I'm saying? I believe he played at Alabama for a little bit. He may have been Alabama running back. But I wasn't overly impressed with Brian Robinson. I think Antonio Gibson got a little bit more juice to his game. And Bieniemy talked in the offseason, in the preseason, about moving him around and finding different ways to get him involved. I think Gibson's a good guy.
Yeah, I think so too. And you see, he's another one that you see kind of falling as well. I think that's a little bit from people not being as high on the Commanders as they maybe should be. I'm a little skeptical of them maybe getting, having a losing stretch, and then maybe the owners kind of say, let's look to the future. Yeah. We head towards, tossing Ron Rivera out the door at the end of the season, letting Bieniemy kind of take over, getting our eyes on Caleb. I think there is a path to that. But I think you're right in that it also is a path to them going to the playoffs. So do you see the Giants then probably finishing in 4th in this division?
I think it's an extremely tough division. I think outside of the AFC North is probably the second best division, top to bottom in football. I don't think the NFC East is going to take all 4 teams to the playoffs. So games that are critical for the Giants are going to be in conference games, particularly games teams like Detroit, Chicago. They have to win those games. They got to beat teams. They got to play better in their division than they have in years in the past.
Yeah.
I think the Giants are the team that's on the outside looking in. I think I'm fading San Francisco this year, but I still would say that the Giants are better than the 49ers are better than the Giants.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm kind of on that fade train with the 49ers as well. I think, you look at their roster and there's a lot of flashy pieces, but again, I think that Purdy might have been a little bit of luck, less than him being, this talented guy that's going to take them back and win a lot of games for them.
And it's not even about getting the book on Brock Purdy, because you can say that about every quarterback. Oh, we're going to get a book on him. But it's more about, nobody talks about the fact that offensive line got Jimmy Garoppolo hurt, got Trey Lance hurt, got Brock Purdy hurt. Nobody mentions that.
No. And people kind of forget about, how games are won from the trenches. But going to another team that's a little bit of a disaster, what's your take on Jonathan Taylor? I think I'm just avoiding it entirely and just avoiding the headache.
Man, that shit was crazy. In April, in the mini camps and the OTAs, he was like, God, we worry about the contract when that time comes up. I enjoy being here. I want to be here. He hires a new agent. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, yo, who is this guy? What happened to Jonathan Taylor? You know what I'm saying? I think he got a battery in his back, how all the running backs was talking about how they getting underpaid. And then Saquon Barkley come and sign the same damn deal. You know what I mean? I'm like, all that crying, Josh Jacobs come and basically sign the same deal. They want to take training camp off. But Jonathan Taylor, on the other hand, he's going to Le'Veon Bell route. He's taking it serious. If I was him, though, this is a bad move. And as far as his fantasy, I got him on a couple teams because I'm one of them dudes. Oh, in the 5th round, you got to take him.
You can't. I know. You get to that point.
Christ, it's like horrible. You know what I'm saying? Now I got this stiff in my goddamn lineup. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, in my starting lineup, and I got to go waiver wire and get Evan Hall and all these jabronis. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the best advice. Let me tell you something. Even with guys like Jameson Williams, right, or any other player that is coming in that's going to miss a couple games, putting somebody on your bench and being like, okay, they're going to pop in the second half of the season is always a bad idea.
Yeah, always. When you're waiting on those guys to succeed, you're also waiting on taking and picking up some of these other guys that are giving you success now.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, oh, no, I'm not going to pick this guy up because I can't cut Jameson Williams. And then Jameson Williams, end up cutting him in week 10. So, to me, that's, it happens and it works every now and then. But for the most part,
Yeah, we'll talk about this team, these Arizona Cardinals. Kyler's starting out on PUP. Are you out on these guys? We've got Marquise Brown. He's being drafted around wide receiver 37. I just put those together. James Conner, maybe consider, but I think they're going to run him to the ground. Don't predict injuries on this show, but I think it's painting an ugly picture for him to be ran into the ground like that. But are you in on any of these guys?
No, I'm not drafting no Arizona Cardinals. I can't really get behind teams that's trying to lose on purpose, particularly in football. Now, Marquise Brown, Rondell Moore, they could have a heavy target share because of a negative game script and Arizona passing the ball a lot, and that could affect Connor as well. But I'm not trying to rely on stuff like that. I want players on good teams that's going to be able to score touchdowns and get fantasy points and have an extreme amount of talent. That team is devoid of talent, and they're doing this on purpose. When they may trade Marquise Brown, listen, you got to be very careful, right? I'm actually going to do this later on today on my podcast, right? So I give you a sneak peek because it's Stephie Smalls, right? The truth of the matter is this Caleb Williams tankathon that's about to happen, be very careful. Not only could Caleb Williams say F this and go back to University of Southern California and get another $4.5 million NIL money, Williams is the type of star generational athlete that could be like, you know what? I'm not going to play for the Cardinals. And what are you going to do? And he can pull it off. Like Eli Manning was like, nah, we're not fooling with the Chargers. I get 100% seeing Caleb Williams like, I'm not going to play for Arizona. Y'all better figure something out or I'll go back to school. And guess what's going to happen? They're going to figure something out. You know what I mean? So they could have the rights to that pick. That don't mean you're getting that player. So I'd be very wary this tankathon for Caleb Williams unless you got to really know what you're doing. And if I'm the Cardinals, maybe y'all just try to go get Drizzy Drake May. Or maybe you stick with the quarterback that you gave a $46 million annual average contract to last year.
Yeah.
How would you give Kyle Murray that money? That's ridiculous.
It's crazy. And I don't know exactly what their plan is there. So, and then if the rumors start, then you're going to really piss Kyler off. And you've already done that multiple times.
Who cares? Get him out of there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. Do you see him going to a different team?
Yeah, he's going to be traded. I think he gets traded in the offseason. I would look at the Atlanta Falcons to come up there and try to make a bid for him. You're going to have to pay him. But a running quarterback like that in Arthur Smith's system could work. The problem with Kyler is, he's a little dude. And when he gets hurt, he plays like a little dude. Like as soon as he gets injured, his production goes down. But when he's healthy, he can be an MVP type guy. He's a bad teammate and a poor leader, but as far as on the field, he's decent.
Yeah, I think it's fun. If the Vikings didn't have to play Justin Jefferson, I think the Vikings would be interested in taking a look at him because they're going to be in a bad situation there with Kirk's contract coming up.
I can see them tanking too.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what direction they go. I think they're having there's some questionable moves coming out of the Vikings new GM. I like Kwesi a lot, but just not really understanding what the full picture is. You cut McBride, who you just drafted, then you go out and pay Gasket. The whole thing is just a little weird over there.
Yeah, I think you like you said that move, Thielen, Cook, don't know what you're really doing with Madison, and I'm like, is this the quarterbacks on a lame duck deal? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, this is a team that was 11-0 in one-score games last year. Yeah. If that number regresses back, I would not be surprised if the Vikings are a 5-6 win team this year.
Right. And they could totally be in that spot. I think that, there is a path to them probably being a little bit better than people think because, but we saw that defense. So Flores, I think, could maybe make the most out of some of these young guys. Yeah, he would be the difference maker. And if Flores can get, squeeze out all the talent he can from those guys, that's one thing. But they're just focused on the wrong thing. Like, they drafted like shit again. You look at what they did, and it's just, I'm not seeing the big picture here. The big picture feels like they're just planning on Kirk being gone and then paying JJ and figuring it out.
They'll figure it out after Cousins is gone. That's what their plan is.
Who do you have winning that division, though? Detroit Lions?
The Green Bay Packers.
I like it. So you're high on Jordan Love then.
I think Jordan Love's the real deal. I think they knew what they were doing when they got rid of Aaron Rodgers. I think he is addition by subtraction. See, like the past couple of years, the Packers didn't have the Aaron Rodgers that the Jets have this year. Like the nice Aaron Rodgers that's giving money back and likes his teammates and comes around and enjoys everybody. They got the asshole Aaron Rodgers, who had a chance to send them to the NFC Championship game, but decided not to run the football on 3rd and 4. They got that Aaron Rodgers. They got Aaron Rodgers that held the franchise hostage every year about whether he was going to return or not. He's out there now. Now LaFleur can really do what LaFleur wants to do. Now he's in charge of the team. And I think Jordan Love is a cool customer. Put it like this. He is going to be a hot waiver wire pickup in week 1.
Yeah, I believe it. And I could totally see that. I think the Packers did something a lot of teams fail to do where they wait too long to move on from a quarterback, even though because they've had all this history. And then you watch the way that it goes down with I, for one, think that Seattle actually moved on from Russell at a beautiful time. They probably could have done it a year earlier, and I wouldn't have, held it against them because they're going to land their feet, and we've seen them do that. And I think that the Packers right now are in a spot where they're going to land on their feet too, where they're not going to have this whole, rebuild happen. They're going to be in a good spot to move forward without Rodgers, and they weren't getting 100% fucking Rodgers. They were getting, this part of him that was not the Rodgers that everyone remembers.
Yeah, as Lil Wayne said on Undisputed the other day, they got the petty Aaron Rodgers towards the end with the Green Bay Packers. Now, here's the thing with the Lions, right? I always fade that hype coming into the season team.
Oh, yeah.
Last year it was the Broncos. 2 years ago it was the Cleveland Browns, right? And they always say, well, look how strong they finished last year. Nobody talks about this Pittsburgh Steelers going 7-2 down the stretch last year.
No one, right? The Pittsburgh
Don't even
Steelers.
talk about that.
And it's funny. I've been talking about that on my show a lot. I've gone on guest shows and I've gotten a lot of shit for it. if people think, and that, that win total is actually creeped up.
It went up to 9.5. It's at 9.5 now.
That's because no one wants to talk about it. That number creeped up to 9.5. I got it at 8.5 before it was massively juiced, and then it creeped up. This team is going to be good, whether people like it or not. And Tomlin alone, why are people betting against him? These people taking them to go under that number is clinically insane to me.
Because they don't like Kenny Pickett. But I got a story. I tell you what, Kenny Pickett played very well down the stretch last year. Now, and then you got Mike. That's a Hall of Fame division. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin. You know what I'm saying? Deshaun Watson in the future, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But definitely Myles Garrett and guys like that. So, but put it like this. I believe the first Thursday night game of December, week 15, is the Steelers and the Patriots. That game is going to have playoff implications.
Yeah, it probably absolutely. Where are you at with the Patriots then?
Not as high as I am on the Steelers, but I still think the Patriots are going to be tough. Listen, I'm a Mac Jones supporter. Okay. That didn't work out well last year. You know what I'm saying? But now you get him back this year with an offensive coordinator. Win total at 7.5. I'll take the over. Bad losses last year on special teams, which is very unlike Bill Belichick. They
can't hire Joe Judge.
No, you can't do that. They need to tell me about it. They need some more speed on that roster. But I think they coach him up, and then they'll be competitive. A tough schedule, a tough division, so I'm less optimistic as I have been in the past. But I think they'll swing and they'll be in there. They'll be in there.
Yeah, I have a question I got later on for this, like these mailbags I'm going to do. Someone was asking about the impact Zeke is going to have on Ramondre. Where are you at with that?
I wouldn't worry about it. I would still draft Stevenson. He's a better player, a younger player. He means more to the offense. I would look at Ezekiel Elliott. Like, I don't think he's going to give you the full LeGarrette Blount experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I don't see him busting off, running 40 yards down the field like LeGarrette Blount used to do. But I think he's going to be dynamic inside the 10. I would not be surprised he'd lead the league in rushing. In rushing touchdowns.
The goal line guy. I think you were going to get halfway through the season, down that stretch when we start talking about playoffs. And he's going to be someone that I bet 2 touchdowns a game for, because they're probably just going to take him, use him at the goal line. You're going to see him just getting all of that extra work.
And then here's the thing about that. If you still got best ball drafts you're doing, I would take Ezekiel Elliott in best ball, because those touchdowns could add up. And even in redraft leagues, and during the bye weeks, when you're looking for running backs because people are hurt or on bye, and you see Ezekiel Elliott on the waiver wire, you're going to pick him up because, like you said, he could give you 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. He's someone that easily you can pick up if you need a Band-Aid every week here and there. Staying on running backs, Bijan Robinson, 4th running back off the board right now. I'm seeing him go even earlier than the 9 spot, which is kind of where he had been floating. Where are you comfortable taking him?
To be honest with you, I'm comfortable taking him at like 5. I would make him the first running back off the board, because I need to have, that's the thing. I probably need to do 2 more drafts because I don't have Bijan Robinson nowhere yet. I think he's going to be fantastic. I think he's going to be the type of running back that's going to be, I put next year this time, Bijan Robinson to be the first guy, 1-1 going in fantasy draft. So definitely be the first running back, catching the football, running the football, dynamic talent in the offense that's catered towards him. I think we got a fantasy stud on our hands.
Yeah, and then temperature check on the Falcons. Where are you at with them? They're kind of a little bit of a darling right now. No one will believe me, but I got them to win that division at like plus 350 a long time ago. It's at plus 200 now. The Saints are favored to win. I'm not positive how I feel about the Saints.
The Saints coach is a jackass.
Yeah, at least someone said it for me. I didn't have to say it. Yeah, he's a jackass. I don't know that I feel very strongly that they're going to be able to put all of their players in the right position to have this type of success that everyone is expecting. But the Falcons are an interesting team. I think that they added more pieces to their defense and people realize that are actually going to make a difference.
Yeah, no, their win total is pretty high. You know what I'm saying? And
what is it at?
I think it's at 7.5. 7.5. Which Atlanta's an 8-win team. I would have saw that. Their quarterback is interesting. Now, I think Arthur Smith's a good coach. Unlike Dennis Allen, the best coach in that division, but in that division got Frank Wright and Todd Toilet Bowles. Right now, with that being said, what I worry about is like the roster is not great. The
Mhm.
quarterback is, it seems like you in order to win a division, you have to make a play. Is Desmond Ridder going to be able to make a play? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that worries me. Like Carr is the most set up guy in that division to make a play, even though last year when he was with the Raiders, when they was trying to fight their way back into it, that game against Pittsburgh, as we talked about, he had Derek Carr did, wide open in the middle of the field, and he threw the ball to Mike Tomlin instead. Now, is Ridder going to do that? Then they're going to lose. But if you can manage Ridder, they can win that division. I put my money on Carolina. Like I said, after that 0-3 preseason, I feel like I'm off to a bad start.
Yeah, I think too with Ridder, they might be in a, they've got Heineke over there too. And no matter what people want to say, Heineke can win some games. He can't play a full season. We've seen that. But I think that even if they get to a point where it's like to sneak into the playoffs and they pull Ridder out, I think Heineke could technically get the job done. You're not going to do shit in the playoffs with Heineke, but you could get yourself there if you really wanted to.
Yeah, and you can be like that, that fourth division champion, right? So that team that hosts a home playoff game against like the Eagles, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the Eagles will probably be the fifth wild card because the Dallas Cowboys go win the division. I just want to throw that in there. If Dak Prescott don't F it up.
Yeah, no one's repeated it. No one's repeated the division. But maybe Trey Lance will take you to the promised land.
Oh, God. No chance, Trey Lance.
With Jahmyr Gibbs, too, because we were just talking about Bijan, is he someone you're targeting? Because I see him kind of being, he's going to get a lot of receiving work, I think.
Yeah, I don't have him nowhere yet either. So I'm going to end up rolling out an auction team with Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs, and we'll figure it out from there. You know what I'm saying? But now I want to get involved with Gibbs. I just did the Fantasy Foes pod that I do with my man Adam Ronis, and he was just talking about the lack of targets. Really, that's going to be in the Lions' offense. It's like Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they might still have Marvin Jones on that team for all I know. So you could see a situation where they're racking up a lot of targets for Jahmyr Gibbs. The thing about it is, Gibbs got to be better than what Swift was. Swift was a massive letdown for the Lions. Yeah. They got to hit it with Gibbs, and you know what? I think they will.
Yeah, I think so too. I think I don't normally watch Hard Knocks. I watched the Lions one last year, and I just felt like you could tell the Detroit Lions did not like Swift. Like I had a bad feeling. I felt like they were talking down to him. Like I felt like they really had a piss poor attitude when it came to him. So I just avoided him last year.
I think the running back coach told him to stop running out of bounds.
Yeah. And they kept telling him, they're like, if only you could untap your talent or something, you could be good. They didn't even say great. I was like, what the fuck is going on? That's not really a way to encourage him.
They were definitely down on him. But see, and then you know what? He lands in Philadelphia to where it's no pressure now. You see what I'm saying? He could be that type of guy to where he performs better when nobody's expecting him to. But listen, in Philadelphia, he's not going to score a lot of touchdowns. He can catch a lot of passes because it's just A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Hurts.
Are you drafting any of the Philly running backs?
I'm trying not to.
Yeah, I try to avoid them. Yeah, they're like panic picks. I always joke, I panic and then I just end up selecting Gainwell really late or something, but I don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't like
something like that. Yeah, exactly. I don't like it either. Like they got, I do my all flag football team. I might do that. And Rashad Penny is on the all flag football team. He's a good back, but if you tackle him, it's over.
Yeah, we know that story. It's like history repeats itself with him. What are some late round targets that you find yourself drafting this year?
I'm back in on Hunter Renfrow this year. I think he's going to have a nice comeback season. I think he gets better in the second year in that offense. Late round guys, Hayden Hurst. That's the guy right there, Hayden Hurst. A lot of people talking about Hayden Hurst being a big part of what they want to do in that Carolina passing game. So Hayden Hurst is the guy that I've noticed that I've been drafting late. And I think we got to get some Deuce Vaughn. You know what I'm saying? I think he's too good not to be on the field.
Shit. I know. I think I'm trying to avoid. He's like the size of me, which is very funny.
No.
He's not the size of me, but I'll tell you, he looks tough as hell.
Yeah, he can play. You know what I'm saying? Listen, my man, the great Emery Hunt would always say you can't hit what you can't catch. And he's going to be difficult to catch. and you can't really get a good square lick on a guy that small.
Yeah. What about Pittsburgh's
Jalen Warren?
backfield?
Oh man, everybody likes Jalen Warren, right? Like his
But I
stock
don't
is
like that hype. That's when I start. I'm like, I don't know.
His hype is yep. And you're right on that. He's really getting hyped up. Well, here's the thing. Running back metric that I look at is yards per reception. And in limited catches, he averaged like 9 yards a catch. That's like Christian McCaffrey type shit. So then that makes you be very optimistic about the player. Now, here's the thing. Najee, not as optimistic on Najee. Like he tends to drop. Even though we all expect Pittsburgh to be improved offensively this year, we don't think Najee's going to improve. Najee looks like a volume running back.
Yeah, I think that, and also a lot of people are, not realizing that they made improvements to the O-line. Like that O-line play is going to be better this year.
Well, the thing about it is when Roethlisberger was there, the running back was the only guy Roethlisberger can get the ball to.
Yeah.
Pickett can get the ball down the field.
Right.
So it kind of takes away from Najee's pass catching. Najee as a rusher, it ain't a 5-yard carry guy. He's like a 4-yard carry guy. Now, an improved offensive line could help that, but here's what Najee is. He's a running back that's a starting back that's going to be in the games, so you can't really just leave him on the board.
No, and he's falling. A few of these guys, like even, I'm not as low on Madison as I think everyone is. I think people
hate him. I don't understand that.
We're over the situation because no one got, you haven't seen much of him. What you've seen is very limited sample size. I get that. He's not that regime's guy. They went out and drafted guys, which was a big argument, but they just went and cut McBride. So I don't know if that was necessarily the right thought process there. Madison is going to have probably more of a boom bust type year where it's like some weeks you're going to get big numbers from him. And then he's going to be really quiet because of the way that offense is ran.
I mean, he was the best handcuff in fantasy the past couple of years. I remember 2 years ago, I traded him for like CD Lamb. You know what I'm saying? To the Dalvin Cook owner. You just like, you can really, you can get that, you can hold a guy hostage if you got his handcuff. You know what I mean? So that was pretty fun, but
that's fun.
As far as talent wise, I mean, he's just, he's a as my good buddy, the great John Hanson would say, he is just a guy.
He is just a guy. So, those guys fall, and then I get into a spot where I'm like, I don't know, can I pass up Madison here? You got to find yourself, like, do you take Madison? Gibson's usually around there too. He's falling just way too low as well. What are your favorite bets this season? You got anything good placed?
A lot of my favorite stuff right now that I like has been in college football. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, I like Notre Dame to make the college football playoff. I like LSU to win the national championship this year. We talked about Caleb Williams. I think he's going to be the first guy since Archie Griffin to repeat his Heisman Trophy. But I like the Commanders to make the playoffs. I got one for you. I like the Commanders to make the playoffs. Somebody else. I like Pittsburgh to make the playoffs. You know who I'm fading? You might find this interesting. To miss the playoffs at plus 290, the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, I like that. Where's your head at with that? The culture?
The culture, 100%. You nailed it. Most people won't even mention that, but you nailed it. The culture. The game was in January. It's August. What the fuck are y'all still fighting about this shit for? You know what I'm saying?
I can't believe it.
It's something else going on in that locker room.
And I think partly, again, like very unbiased, but I think Dable leaving was a bigger deal than people realize.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're seeing all of a sudden he leaves, maybe we're realizing that McDermott's just an idiot, kind of.
He was looked at, he was valued as you know what? Last year, I liked Dable for Coach of the Year. I was even like, man, I wish there was a way you can vote for Wink Martindale for Coach of the Year or, best assistant because he was fantastic last year. And I think Dable did a great job because it's not like the Giants have a talented roster. They got a couple pieces on the defensive line, you know what I'm saying? But the talent on offense is not there. But they played well last year. Daniel Jones didn't turn the ball over. I remember week 1 when Jones threw that interception and Dable came to the bench and was like, listen, cut the shit. Somebody should do that to Dak Prescott. And then Sunday and throw another interception the rest of the season. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm like, can we get that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what honestly, someone just needs to give Dak a good little talking to. He needs to get his shit together, not be so prissy and stop turning the damn ball over. I do find myself, Dak, I know that his ADP is where it is, but I have found myself I hate doing it, but I have been drafting him, especially when I have CD already.
Yeah.
I like to stack him also with Pollard. What about Pollard? Give me the rundown on Pollard.
I love Pollard. Like, see, my thing with Pollard is, like, how far do I want to bring Pollard up the board? That's where I'm at now. Because, now I'm on, like, the 1-2 turn with Pollard. Another 10 yards a catch. You know what I'm saying? That key metric. You saw it last year. When he got in the game, Tony Pollard is the Dallas Cowboys' best player.
Really?
Well, second best player. He's the best offensive player. The Dallas Cowboys best player.
I'm like, Micah, I'm going to get you with that. I already have a Micah. I got a Micah plus 700 Defensive Player of the Year ticket. I don't care. I'm running it with Micah.
How about this? How about 30-1 Micah to win the MVP?
You got that?
I would do that. I would do that. Now, that's Lawrence Taylor type shit right there. You know what I'm saying? And I know when I mention the great Lawrence Taylor, I see it's like an aura of New York Giants come up behind you. We just had a conversation the other day, the greatest football player of all time, and I said it was Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on that one. That's for
sure.
This
is live. I didn't know this was live.
It is live. Oh okay. Yeah.
What's up, everybody? And listen, we live. Y'all need to be over subscribing to the Fantasy Executive channel when this is done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what you need to be doing. Send over some of my followers over there. But yeah, I even took Micah. I think he can have another career year. He's already 6th highest sacks in his first 2 years, 26.5. And then, his number set at 13.5 every year. 13.5. I think he makes it to that 14, 15. Maybe we're talking about it even higher than that. I love what Micah does on the field. I think he's also fantastic off the field. He plays with a chip on his shoulder still, even though he doesn't need to.
He can wreck a game plan, one of those type of defensive players that can wreck a game plan. And Tony Pollard is an offensive player who, when you got to come to and you got to wreck a game plan, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, those are the two best players on Dallas. I like Pollard a lot. The catching, the running, Dak Prescott. I hate to keep trashing Dak Prescott. But when Tony Pollard got hurt, right, that's when the quarterback's supposed to step up, Steph. You know what Dak Prescott did the next play? The next fucking play, he threw an interception.
I want the Giants. This is all I asked for this year. I don't care how many games the Giants win. I just want to win some more divisional games. I can't fucking keep going into these games.
You got to win some divisional games.
Got it. And I think that's what their whole season is gonna depend on. Like, they need to actually win games inside of their division for the first time in fucking years.
Yeah, you got to get a win over the Eagles. You got to get a win over the Cowboys. Like, you can't get and then the games don't. It was a little bit closer last year when it came to Dallas, but it's like the games are never in doubt. You know what I'm saying? So that's tough.
Yeah, and
you got to win their division games.
I miss when I actually liked to watch the NFC East games. When it used to be fun. It hasn't been fun for years.
No, it wasn't fun when it was fun for you. It wasn't fun for me with Eli Manning. You know what I'm saying? And all that lucky bullshit. Mario Manningham.
Maybe Trey Lance will be your lucky bullshit.
Can you imagine that? I hope I don't have to wait that long.
Oh my God.
That would be hard.
I wish the kid the best. I do. I really do. I hope he gets some type of fresh start. I personally don't care if Dak doesn't figure out his shit, but for your sake, because you're my friend, I'll root for you and what makes you happy.
Thank you.
Before I let you get out of here, tell me ideal Sunday, like sitting on the couch. Do you have a drink in hand? Is everyone leaving you alone? Are you watching it with people?
So ideal is tough. Ideally, I'd be on the air. You know what I'm saying? Working. Yeah. I like that live action broadcast, but if I get a chance to just sit down and do my thing, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I would tell Shorty to call an Uber, right? And then I'm gonna go to the store. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get me a couple 6-packs, probably 12-pack. You know what I'm saying? The grill, we fire up the grill right around noon. We fire up the grill, so we get something hearty on the grill. And then when we sit down and watch the games, we make sure we have the proper enhancements rolled up.
Oh yeah, you need all the snacks. I like to be live too, but when I watch football, I like to sometimes be by myself, especially with the Giants. Let me have my tantrums in private. Nobody has to see that, but I will come to your house the next Sunday that you're not on the air, and you can grill for me, and we can have a couple We'll need more than a 12-pack if I'm coming over.
That's what's up. You know what I'm saying? Good times will be had. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So definitely come on, make a trip down here, and I'll fire up the grill and we'll have a good time. Oh, especially on college football Saturdays down here. Oh man, we get it in. You know what I mean? So you definitely enjoy.
I'm going to commit to watching more college football than I have in the past. I'm in one of those fantasy leagues, so I'm not really going to have a choice. So why don't you tell everyone where they can find you? Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Let you tell him one more time, and then I'll get you out of here.
Fantasy Exec on YouTube is the best way to find me. You can find everything over there as far as the links. Fantasy Executive newsletter. Just got that started. I got to get into the newsletter business. That's what the smart people say. So I'm just trying to do it all. You know what I'm saying? But there you go right there. And at the Fantasy Exec on Twitter, we'll also give you a good spot to locate the Fantasy Executive. Do that morning show on the Better Sports Network. Shout out to Matt Deutsch and the whole crew over there. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to you, Stephie Smalls. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to you. Right back. Very.
Hey, they tried. Hey, Steph. They tried. They tried to take you out the game. You know what I'm saying?
They tried to take me out the game.
They did.
I said, nope, can't do
I'm glad you're still here. You know what I mean?
The comeback is always better, right?
No doubt. There you go.
Yeah. All right. I'll see you, my good friend. We'll talk later. All right.
Take care.
See ya. God, if you guys are not subscribed to his channel, go check him out. One of my favorite people. Isn't he a blast, Ryan?
He was great. That was a wonderful interview. I loved it.
He's the absolute best. And he said smart people have a Substack, which is what we are going to have.
Oh, yeah. We are actually going to put out the first Substack tomorrow, and we'll be updating it either. I got to see if it's better to update it every Tuesday or Thursday. I don't know. What kind of stuff do you want to do on the Substack? Do you want to have like sit or start on like?
Yeah, we have to have dads of the week, dad bets, dog bets, dud bets. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So there will be Substacks, maybe 2 a week. We'll see how much time I have. Maybe on Tuesday and Thursday on their off days from recording. That would be great. And yeah, that was an awesome interview. He's hilarious.
I'll have to get him back on, especially before a Cowboys game. He cracks me the frick up. And then we have mailbag questions. I should let everyone know that we're about to jump. Oh, Tuesday for the waiver wire. I can do that for sure. We can do a waiver wire.
Thanks, Steven. Some quick questions from the live viewers before we get into the Twitter/X questions. Steven, who just actually commented about the waiver wire, he mentioned Ertz not back for week 1. I'm gonna suppose that's the question. Do we roll the dice on a Trey McBride if you're in need of a tight end? Ertz is not there.
You are the Cardinals fan. I think that we kind of stay away from the Cardinals for a little bit. Like I think
stay away from the Cardinals altogether.
Yeah, I think that James Conner, kind of like I was saying earlier, I think that they probably will use him as much as possible. With James Conner's history, that I don't love that by any means. But until Kyler comes back, I don't know what we're getting. It seems like they're like the most unserious franchise in the league right now.
Yes, I can say that with 100% certainty with the wearing the hat and everything. So, okay, so here's a dynasty. I'm going to segue that into my own personal dynasty question.
Okay.
So I have to set my taxi squad with guys who are either rookies or second-year players. Taxi squad and dynasty you can't use during the season. Yeah. But you can hold on to those players just for people who aren't big dynasty players. In my taxi squad, do I have Trey McBride or Sam Laporta? I need another tight end who I might actually play once or twice during the year.
You want Sam Laporta out of you don't want him in your taxi squad.
You don't think so? He's a first-year player, and first-year tight ends never do anything.
I know, but Detroit is gonna. I don't know. I don't think you can do anything with McBride. I was so high on him. Yeah. I'm actually so pissed because my best ball exposure is so high. And I feel like all of my emotions and I just already got my heart broken.
All right.
It's probably safer.
Laporta on my active bench. Okay. Yeah, I get it.
It's probably safer. We're fading the Arizona Cardinals.
We're going to fade the Cardinals. Okay. Yeah. That's fair. This one from Trevor Colvin. Jalen Warren, Samaje Perine, Gus Edwards. Who has the best season and deserves to be a week in, week out flex consideration? Thank you, Trevor.
Hi, Trev. That great listener of the show. One of my favorite people on Twitter. Probably Warren, we talked about a little bit earlier, but the other two guys are more of a handcuff where Warren is, he's a handcuff, but not really. He's going to have his own role in that offense. So I think that Warren week to week is ultimately going to have a better season.
You don't think they'll use Samaje quite a bit in Denver?
It sounds like Williams is going to be fine though, but it sounds back okay is what the word on the street is.
Yeah. But when like thinking back to the days of Saints where they use multiple running backs, you don't see that again?
Yeah, he's going to have boomy weeks, but I think like if we're talking a full season, like you're probably going to get more bang for your buck out of Warren.
All right. I think that's a good call. Here we go. David Nujoko. New question. Just thoughts in general. That's from Gabby Goody.
Gowdy. She's actually going to come on the show, I think, next week, which will be great. She is fantastic. Yeah. David and I can't even speak. I'm so David Njoku is a very nice kind of like later tight end that still has like top 8 upside. So he's someone that I'm drafting. When I fade tight end, I'm going to guys like that.
Yeah. In one of my 10-team leagues, I got him late after everybody else had already drafted a tight end, and I'm totally fine with just carrying him on a 10-team league. Where will Kyle Pitts finish in fantasy this season, and why is it as a top 5 tight end?
Yeah, he's not finishing as a top 5.
That's from a little Darius Brown. You don't think he's not going to be top 5? Where's he going to finish?
And part of this is coming from he's just hurt my feelings too much, and I think that Desmond probably we don't know yet is an upgrade from Mariota. I think he does creep into that top 10, but I struggle to find how with all those weapons on that team, he ends up finishing as a top 5. It's pretty much like, I just don't feel like getting hurt. I feel like I don't have enough exposure. My next draft, I'm drafting with the book of guys. I'll probably try to get him tonight because I like to have exposure on these guys, but he hasn't been my go-to. Like I'd rather have, Warren and then wait, and you can get Pitts late now. Like he is falling like late 4th. I saw him last night going in the late 5th, early 6th. And that's ridiculous. I think that where he's being drafted at tight end 6 is pretty fair. But to me, like I think he pops out at that top 5.
Okay. So would you rather have like a Freiermuth or Njoku later?
No, I'd rather take Pitts. You take Pitts. But
no, but like you can get those guys a lot later.
Yeah, it depends. You either fade on tight end. Pitts is like the last guy before you go full fade.
Okay, last guy before full fade. Who would you choose to have a better fantasy year, Daniel Jones or Justin Fields? That's from Darius Smith. I didn't see him in the chat today, but he's usually here.
He wasn't here. I mean, Justin Fields is going to have a better year. I'm drafting him way higher than I would take Daniel. Fields finished as the QB6 last year. Even if he doesn't take a leap as a passer, which he probably will take somewhat of a leap, he still has that rushing upside. But with Jones, QB9 last year, no one wants to talk about it. Still being drafted around QB14. He should also improve his passing game, which has been the biggest knock. But he finally gets weapons like Darren Waller. You have former Colts wideout Paris Campbell. You have a field stretcher in Jalen Hyatt. He's got toys to play with now. I think that it's unlikely he probably rushes as much, but Dable isn't going to turn that down the way that past regimes have, because I think that Dable clearly leaned into his athleticism and they're mocking up plays for him to use his legs. And even when they don't, he uses legs.
Yeah. That's one, speaking of Daniel Jones, I was going back editing some of our stuff from Vegas. One of the things that Ryan Kramer, another big Giants fan, we should say, threw out was Daniel Jones to lead all quarterbacks in rushing touchdowns. He was 3rd last year. It's 20-1. I went and put a few dollars on that just because it's 20-1 right there.
Okay.
Could happen. It's in the realm of possibility.
Yeah. I think both of these guys finish as top 10 quarterback. So it just depends on how you want to do your build, because you can get Daniel very late.
Very late, yeah. You talked about this a little bit already, but Ramondre Stevenson's outlook with Zeke in the fold, better or worse than last season?
Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I'll be very straightforward. Like, I'm just not a Ramondre guy. And I'm not a Ramondre girl. I think, he's still worth a third round pick. I'm probably not picking him and going another direction. I think that he will be completely fine. Probably a little bit overhyped, kind of like I was talking about earlier in the show, is that I think that, Zeke is going to get that goal line work. Like, we're going to see a lot of that. He's going to be one of the people, especially towards the end of the season, that you're going to catch me betting 2 touchdowns, like anytime touchdown, first touchdown. Like, he is going to demand a lot of the goal line work. So Stevenson isn't going to get as much of that work. That's really the only impact that he's going to end up having. But you're not going to get Zeke running it off for 40. Like, that's not going to happen. So I think, I'd rather take someone like Mixon over Ramondre there in that area. But again, not a Ramondre person, won't be a Ramondre person, just not my jam.
Yeah, and this comes from playing fantasy for 20 plus years. I feel like Bill Belichick always uses a lot of running backs, right? He never, like, Ramondre was the outlier last year that he got so much use, and that was a very unlike Belichickian season last year.
They brought Zeke in to score touchdowns. Like, that is very much what he is going to be there for.
Absolutely. Who, if anyone, do you trust to roster out of the Indy backfield with Taylor out for the first 4 weeks? This is a good question.
Yeah. I mean, this is like, first of all, they're all on waivers. So maybe give it a little to figure out what they want to do. I hope to God you are not in a position week 1 that you're flexing fucking Zach Moss, Deion Jackson, or what is it? Fucking Evan Hall, whatever.
But maybe just somebody at the end of your draft.
Yeah.
If you're drafting this weekend, somebody at the end of your draft.
Right. Oh, God. I always wanted Zach Moss to be a thing. It never was a thing. But I think that I'm probably leaning Deion Jackson, actually. Not that he did much, but we saw a couple, 2 weeks where we saw some fantasy production, like 18 points 1 week and I think 9 2 other weeks. But Evan Hall too is probably a better like dart throw. I don't know if there's security in any of these guys. I'm definitely, maybe pick up them for your dynasty rosters, and maybe you're, stashing them away when you on these teams that have bigger benches, but I'm not interested.
All right. Mary, fuck, kill. Pickett, Howell, Purdy.
Is this supposed to be a fantasy question, or am I being like real life about this? I'll answer it for both. I'll answer it for both.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna.
The viewership just bounced up as soon as we said Mary, fuck, kill.
Yeah. Okay. So I will kill Purdy. That's not a threat, right? Like, I'm not gonna get in trouble on YouTube.
No, that's not.
Only because of what he's done to the landscape, where everyone is like hanging on for dear life that, these 25-year-old quarterbacks that they've drafted are going to end up having some fantasy relevance at some point. Howell, I will marry because I think he's going to be solid this year. And then I will fuck Pickett because, again, I think that Pickett to Pickens, we're going to hear a lot of. You heard me talk about it again. I'm going to talk about it nonstop. The Steelers are going to be better than people think this year.
So a one-night stand with Pickett because he's going to have some great games.
And then, actually, I'd probably fuck Howell. I'd probably marry Purdy and then kill Pickett. I'm not into the hair.
No, got it. Oh, wow. You got us all turned around.
Right.
All right. Our final question. What was your all-time best draft? Do you remember it?
No, you guys, I play in fucking 40 leagues, but I did just like my draft that I did in my all girls league that I hosted for the first time. So hungover from Vegas. I posted it not too long ago. Some of these we'll have to do it on the show. Maybe on Friday I'll go through some of them, but these girls made some really funny picks, so we have to go through them. Like Marvin Jones went in the 4th round. There's some really funny picks. I was gonna make a YouTube short for it, but this was my team in that league, and I like it quite a bit. Justin Fields, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Chig, Drake London, Chris Godwin. But my bench is what I love. This is my bench: James Cook, Devin Achane, Zach Charbonnet, Jahan Dotson and Treylon Burks. Like I just love that bench.
I love that. I love getting Treylon Burks like late like that too.
Yeah.
I got him in a couple of drafts. So.
And he's probably gonna be healthy, so it's nice.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, that is all of our questions. So thank you everybody for coming and checking us out on YouTube Live.
I see one more question. I'm going to answer quick. Did I just win my league? I got T-Law, ETN, Stevenson, JJ, CD, Andrews, Pickens. No flex, but no. That's a pretty fucking good team. Yeah, you just may have, but we never know with injuries, so I don't want to guarantee it. And then you come back and yell at me. But yeah, we'll wrap up Friday. We have the Degenerate coming on. Hopefully, I will have my new computer, so I'm not glitchy for you guys. Be sure to subscribe and like if you're still here. It helps us out a ton. And we'll catch you on Friday.
Yeah, and check out our Substack, StephieSmallsShow.substack.com.
See ya.
All right. Oh, sorry. Outro.
Watch it, make it, break it down.